talking my way through this, saying, I've never done this before.
We're two novices. Elaine, we're just too old for Instagram Live.
Totally. But you know what? We did it. We're here. And it looks like there's a bunch of people joining us. So lots of waves and people saying hello.
Amazing. Did you want to dive right in, or do you want to give people a minute?
Let's give a couple minutes. Yeah, I'm so excited to do this. I've only done it once before with a friend of mine who owns a brand called I'll Know It When I See It. She does like snarky greeting cards.
Yeah.
And I found it was like, before we went live, I was like, oh my God, what's this going to be like? But it was really cool. It was like having a chat with a really smart friend about things that we're both interested in. So
I love it. Well, you're one of my smartest friends, so that works really well.
Oh, that works out.
I learned something every single time we talk, and so I'm excited because I think I'm going to get something out of today.
Aw, thanks. All right, so I think we can go. We're 2 minutes, over
do
time.
it.
So
cool.
Let's do it.
Fun to see so many friends joining here. Hi to everyone. I'm going to be kind of, I guess, our host today, and digging in to learn a little bit more about what you've been up to. So I think there's a few reasons we're here today. One, Lovers Tempo just launched your sustainable collection, which Monday Creative, the agency I run, got to help with a little bit on the messaging and positioning of. And I know that this collection is part of a much bigger journey that you've been on, and you've been learning a lot about how you can reduce your footprint as a small business. And as a fellow business owner, I'm really excited to hear about that because we're also embarking on a sustainability journey this year. And lastly, it's the start of a new year. So we're starting about goals, and I want to hear what's going to come next on this path. So maybe since so many people are joining, we should start with some intros. Elaine, you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. So my name's Elaine, and I'm the founder and CEO of Lovers Tempo. We are a jewelry brand based in Vancouver, and we like to say that we make delightful jewelry that makes every day feel a little romantic.
Oh, I love that. You do. Everything has that like slight little tinge of romance to it.
Je ne sais quoi.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, a French feel to it. Well, I'm Amanda. I'm the CEO of Monday. We're a branding and content marketing agency also based in Vancouver. And Elaine and I have been pals for about 3 years. We met through a CEO group and have been sharing ideas and insights ever since then. Okay, let's dive in. I have questions for you. So you just launched your sustainable collection. And jewelry isn't an industry that I have that much expertise in. We know a lot about outdoor apparel and just apparel in general, but we've just been dabbling in the jewelry world. For jewelry, and particularly for fashion jewelry, what does sustainability even entail?
Oh my gosh. Okay. So that's a big question. And because we've done so much work over the last 6 months, there's a lot of different answers, and it goes really deep. And I think, like most of us, when we started our journey in sustainability, especially like as a business and in the fashion jewelry realm, we kind of didn't know where to start. There's things that are the most obvious. You think about the planet, and there's great brands out there that are planting trees or giving 1% to the ocean. And we kind of felt lost. We knew that sustainability was a big priority for us, but we didn't want to get it wrong. We had a lot of questions about, what is the best thing for us to do? Because we didn't want to be solving the wrong problem.
And also you don't want to be like veering away from your values and your positioning. Like it has to stay true to who you are.
Yeah. So I think that the first step, my business partner, pitched was, let's get some help. So she looked around and found an amazing consultant here in Vancouver. So we dove in and did an audit of our business and some learning. So we did I think it was about a 6-week or 2-month process where we introduced ourselves, our business, kind of went through every little thing about our business processes, how we ship, how we travel, how do we commute to work, what kind of light bulbs are in our office, like every facet of just existing as a business. And we did this audit with him. And it was truly, really informational and overwhelming in some ways, because you really you realize how much is actually involved in sustainability. So one of the good things is being a fashion business, like fashion jewelry, we learned that is actually we have a very low carbon impact.
Hmm.
So that was refreshing,
Yeah.
just to know and understand that. But it didn't mean that, okay, we don't have to do anything, we
Mm-hmm.
don't have a big carbon impact.
Yeah. It's not like apparel where you have like all this excess raw materials and like your product's not that heavy. So shipping isn't as crazy, I guess.
Yeah. So it was really good to know even things like, I never really thought of it like when I was, making jewelry in my kitchen, 12 years ago, I never thought like I'm contributing to the mining industry. But, working with metals, that's how we're kind of connected to larger industries that are, have more carbon impact.
Right.
But like you said, the size and nature of our product, though, is quite light. It's quite minimal. I think even like end of life things, like, most people don't just throw their jewelry away. They like give it away, donate it. So, the industry itself that we're in is naturally a little bit more sustainable. So
You're not
that,
finding a ton of jewelry in a landfill.
exactly. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that felt really good. But I think through the audit, one of the biggest takeaways was how far reaching like sustainability really is. Like I said at the beginning, we typically thought, it was about the planet and trees and things like that. But Nelson from Green Sky, he introduced us to, or, let us know about the 17 goals that the UN is striving to achieve. So the 17 goals, the Sustainable Development Goals, they encompass so many things that we never thought about, like hunger and poverty, sustainable consumption and production, things that impact people as well as the planet. So I think for us, that was the biggest takeaway. So when we were developing our Sustainable Demi-Fine collection, which we launched it at wholesale this week. We are launching it on e-com at the end of this week. So this is all like in preparation. I think that was one of the biggest takeaways was, we need to think about sustainability holistically. So looking at things like people, planet, and our product as well. So
I think we forget the people aspect so often.
yes, yeah. It was, and for us, like one of the reasons we wanted to work with you guys is, Leslie and I, my business partner Leslie, we were always very sustainably minded, but we didn't really know like how do you say that? We make fashion jewelry. We wanted it to feel authentic. And so when when it was highlighted that people play such a huge role in creating a more sustainable world, like taking care of like hunger and poverty, gender equality shows up on one of the goals. It felt good that, there were a lot of things that really aligned with who we are as a business and as people that we were already doing that can contribute to a more sustainable business. So that felt really great, like walking away from that. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you went through this whole long audit process. You were using those UN sustainability principles. Obviously, like you can't implement all of them, or you can't implement all of them out of the gate. What were some of the like immediate outcomes for your business, or like changes that you knew you needed to make? And what are some of the things that you're still like thinking about and working towards?
Yeah, good question. So, like I said, understanding, the people part, we had a lot of things that we were already doing. Like we were actually registered as the first jewelry company to be a fair living wage employer in BC.
That's really
So
cool.
so that was something that we were already doing. What were some of the other things? We donate to a lot of charitable causes that have to do with like wellness and health. So that was something that we were already doing. We became carbon neutral as of last year. We're going through the certification process right now, but we bought the carbon offsets with our partner. We're using Carbon Zero as our partner. So
that's that's a whole world that I find really interesting, the carbon offset thing. Sorry to sidetrack a little bit. Obviously,
no.
like you're manufacturing something, there's going to be carbon that comes out of that. So how do they figure out how many offsets you need to purchase? How do they determine that you're actually neutralizing your impact through that? Do you know?
Well, yeah. So it's kind of like the audit we did. So the audit we did, it goes through like how many employees do you have and what is their mode of transportation? Like what is what is your energy source in your office? And with the manufacturing component, they actually go into like the different countries and the metals you're using, and they've got like statistics. So it's all like we don't do it.
There's a whole system. Yeah.
There's a whole system, and it's like they want to be accurate because they don't want to be, especially when you're working with an accredited partner like Carbon Zero. for example, like they are very thorough in their audit and they want to get it right. And, you know, so it's really cool. We don't really get to, you know, we don't go too deep into it, but they're very transparent and give us the information so we understand what our carbon impact is. But if anyone is interested in doing it, you can do it on a personal level, and you can also do it as a business. And it's not difficult to do, and they kind of do it all for you, and then it's just your responsibility to offset. So yeah, that's kind of how we understand. Yeah, that's how we do it.
I love that. I think, you know, I think we talked about the other day, we're starting our journey into becoming a B Corp. And I think that's going to be part of the process. I'm really interested to see what our impact as a services business is, because, you know, you always think like, oh, we're not producing anything, so our impact is really small. But I still drive to work, and like, we don't have the most efficient heating in our office. Like,
yeah, those things add up. And I would like to say, actually, through our audit, we were looking at everything, and, you know, the things that jump out at us, like we were like, oh, like, you know, single-use plastics and whatnot. But our number one carbon impact is business travel.
Wow.
So
yeah, that's probably mine too.
Yeah, every time we hop in an airplane, that's where we're creating our most carbon impact. So it has like changed our mentality. And not that we were just like hopping on flights everywhere, especially the last 2 years. But it really, you know, it opens your eyes into like, you know, do we, like he was saying, like suggestions, like if you go for work, can you make it a family vacation combo? So you're not taking 2 flights that year, you're taking 1. So
I love that.
You know, yeah. So there are answers. It's not like, okay, you know, you got to go everywhere by boat. But there are, you know, ways that you can definitely lighten that carbon impact.
Travel's my like biggest downfall for my carbon, because like it's part of my identity. I love adventure. You know, how do we keep getting inspired and also connect in person with clients and customers but I love that idea of like combining trips and overlapping.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Back to your Sustainable Demi-Fine collection. Can you tell me a little bit about what makes that collection more sustainable than other collections?
Yeah, so this, you know, collection kind of went in tandem with our research that we were doing. So it was really great to be able to apply some of the learnings and like dive into how we're making it this new collection. How can we take the principles and ideas that we've learned and apply them immediately? And so there's really like 3 things. There's the materials. We've chosen to work with recycled silver, which, you know, it creates 2/3 less carbon impact than mined silver. So that in itself, I think, is a huge advantage. Yeah. And then the second one is the quality. The quality, like fashion jewelry is fashion jewelry. It's fun, it's beautiful, it's affordable. But it doesn't have the longevity of so our Demi-Fine, we've got a thicker plating, it's precious metal. So it does have a longer lifeline, but and then there's something coming in the future that I want to talk about near the end.
Okay.
And then the last thing is the production. So we're producing this with a really amazing factory that's based in Thailand. And they've got such a huge outlook on sustainability for their business. They work in an over 10,000 square foot facility, and they're aiming to be 75% solar powered by 2025.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and then, you know, they do amazing things within their company and their community. Like during COVID, a lot of people in Thailand were affected. They had a pantry in their community where locals could come and get basic staples to provide for their family. They support women. I think 73% of the women people working there are women. So there's a lot of great things. So the partners that we chose to work with, I mean, like we were really hyper focused on that factory just because of their sustainability goals. And then we actually also we're able to produce part of it locally right here in Vancouver. So like I said, flying and even shipping products, that's like probably our second biggest carbon impact in our business. So producing locally just alleviates the need to ship products.
Cool.
From offshore. So
you guys really thought about it holistically, from like sourcing to production to like
people,
fulfillment.
Totally. Yeah,
I love that. Yeah. That's cool. What were some of the things that just felt so difficult to overcome in this process? Like, you found lots of different solutions, but sustainability is a never-ending journey. Like, what are the challenges that feel like your biggest nemesis or the hardest things to overcome?
I think for us, a lot of it was the messaging, which is why we reached out to you guys, because, you know, Lovers Tempo started for me as a hobby. And, you know, I have always been, you know, I'm a product of our generation, and, you know, I've always been sustainably minded, but the brand itself, it wasn't like an obvious brand that, like I said earlier, was like for every pair of earrings we plant a tree, or, you know, save a whale. Like, we weren't that brand. So it was like, how does this conversation come about naturally? How does it feel authentic? And, you know, talking about some of the things we've spoken about today, like UN goals and, you know, carbon offsets and the science behind it. How do you speak as a brand that, you know, makes fashion jewelry, and how does it feel natural? And how do you, you know, how do you speak to your customers? So I think that was
without it feeling like greenwashing, or you're trying to make promises that your brand's not actually fulfilling.
Yes, I think that was probably the biggest challenge. And it's something that we're going to continue to work on. And doing things like this, you know, this is a big leap for us, right? I think a lot of us at Lovers Tempo, we work hard, we love what we do, but we like to stay behind the scenes. But we really felt that it was something that we feel passionate, that we want to connect with our customers and connect with people out there, and inspire people to take the journey as well. Because I think starting is the hardest part. It was daunting.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's a never ending journey. Where do you start? And I think the most important thing for us is that we started, and that we are, you know, being open and sharing our experiences with people. So
yeah, it does feel, because it's like taking you away from your core business, you know, and so it has to be really deliberate. You have to carve out the time for it, and it's a choice, and you have to put money towards it, and not every business is willing to do that, especially if it's not like part of their core mission. Awesome. So then what comes next? Like, when you look to the future, if it is this continuing journey, what's going to happen now? What can we expect to see in 22 from Lovers Tempo, or even after that?
Yeah, so there's a lot of things we're doing. So one of the things we also learned is that, you know, like I said earlier, we have been donating to different like charitable causes and things like that. And one thing that I felt was missing was, like, I really wanted our team to be engaged, and everybody on our team is like passionate and super invested in the company. But sometimes when there's so many things going on, like you said, this is outside of our core business, and it's something that like we've all had to spend extra time and extra resources. It felt like we really wanted to involve our team and get them to be invested and feel that all the things that we're doing were meaningful to them. So one of the things we're starting is we have we're having an employee ambassador give back program. So every year we'll pick one employee, and they get to kind of be the ambassador and champion a partnership that we can give back to. And we'll be kind of supporting them along that journey, and then pledging 1% of profits to donate to that cause. So that's something I'm really looking forward to. It's new because, you know, we have a lot of great initiatives, and we've been donating here and there, but I would really love to like invest some like time, so the whole team can really like learn about a different cause, and then like kind of go through that for a year.
That's awesome. I just did a roundup of all of our charitable giving, because we're doing our like next quarter strategy review, and it has mostly come from me and my business partner, like the causes we're passionate about. And I love the idea of having like the employees own what that giving goes towards. That's cool.
Yeah. So it's new for us, so I'll let you know how it goes, but it's already like, I'm super excited about it. So that's something new that we're doing. Little things like we've, you know, had a lot of feedback about like e-com shipping, right? Like e-com is one of those things where as a consumer, you want this experience and you want to unbox and like get a lot of cool stuff, but you know, obviously that's not sustainable. So we're balancing those things. So little things like we're using smaller shipping boxes for e-com. We've converted to only recycled materials, and we're using for our shipping materials as well. So those are little like kind of quick action items that we could do. And then the other thing actually that I'm very excited about that I want to talk to you about is the end of life. So one of the things that we wanted to really have is like that full life cycle of a product. And end of life, like I said, most people don't just like throw their jewelry in the garbage. They usually like donate it or hand it down or pass it on. So we are launching the Full Circle Artist Program. So we are going to be collecting, you know, worn jewelry, damaged jewelry throughout the year. And we're going to be sponsoring an artist to create a unique piece of art using that product.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So like if I return something, or will you be doing a call out like, hey, if you're not using your Lovers Tempo anymore, send it back in?
Yeah, it's going to be for our e-com customers. for the e-com customers, it'll be a program where they can opt in and and send it back as they wish. And then we're rolling it out to our wholesale. It'll be more of like a timed thing where it's like once a year they have that opportunity. But yeah, one of the things we really wanted to do was, we are creatives, we're artists, and it's a way for us to like engage with that community, with like artists like locally, but also speak about sustainability and product and end of life when it comes to consumer goods. So so that's,
so cool.
Logistics, we're in the middle of like working it out. It's mostly all hammered out, but I'm just excited to start talking about it because it's new, and we're hungry for ideas because we want to see this succeed. And so once we get the art, we have this like plan of like holding an auction, and all the proceeds from the auction would go towards Carbon Zero, our partner for carbon neutrality. So there's a lot of exciting things that are brewing, from like little action items to like big picture goals as well.
You might not know this yet, but do you know how you're going to select the artists to work with?
So for the initial run, we're actually doing, we're kind of like reaching out to artists that we know, because it's our first run at it and we want to make sure that it's successful. So we want to kind of have a little bit of a closer contact with the artist. And then after the first run, once we've done it and kind of understand it better, then we're going to do an open call, and we want to make sure that it's open to like artists from all backgrounds, and so we'll just learn from the first run and then see how it goes, and then we will do an open call.
I love that. Okay, it's 10:52. We talked about maybe doing about 20 minutes. Do you want to keep chatting? Do you want to wrap up? Where do you want to go from here?
Well, you know what? I actually want to, like, when you told me about your B Corp status, I want to talk to you a little bit about you.
Ooh, okay. What Monday's doing in the sustainability space?
Yeah, totally. Because you've been speaking about, being a little bit different because you don't, you're a service-based business. So speak to us about that.
Yeah. Okay. I think there's like kind of three main areas that we're thinking about. We're deep in this right now because we're working on our strategic plan for the year ahead. And then we're soon going to be developing another 5-year strategic plan. And sustainability is actually going to be really core to it. When we first set up the business 4.5 years ago, we were all about getting people outside, but we didn't think about the fact that like preserving the environment is like an inherent part of getting people outside. And so one of the first things that we're doing, I'll talk about B Corp in a minute, but we're changing some of our positioning. So we're going back to our guiding principles, which is like the principles that we as a team live by, and the principles by which we do business. And we're integrating our environmental values into that. And that ties into being selective about who we work with. So we want to work with brands that have that same mindset, that have circularity programs starting to be embedded into their process, and that are doing exactly the types of things that you're doing. So like a jewelry brand isn't necessarily like a natural fit for a Monday brand, but you guys were so focused on that same vision as us that like the synergy was amazing. And it was like, yeah, of course we want to work with this brand, even though you're a diversion from our usual apparel brands. So yeah, how we choose clients, making sure that their values align, being public about our values. But we're also like really going deep into circularity and alternative fabrications. We obviously don't create product, but we are trying to enable our clients to do better work in that space. So one of the big things we did last year was the branding for Rebird, which is Arc'teryx's re-commerce, like resale platform.
That was a fun
project. And we're kind of leveraging that. And I'm hosting, COVID willing, I'm hosting a panel at South by Southwest in March that has brand leaders from Arc'teryx, Cotopaxi, another incredible outdoor brand, and Patagonia, like the leader of that, talking about their circularity programs, and then how they integrate those circularity programs into their marketing. And then the last thing is B Corp certification, which we are literally just beginning. So that's my goal for Q1 and Q2 is to get through that certification process, and I'm just starting on it.
You should talk to Leslie because we're doing it too. We're a little bit further ahead than you. I think we're a few months in, but It's
Good.
exciting.
Okay,
Yeah.
we're gonna go on this journey together. So yeah,
Yeah.
really, really excited. Yeah, I know there's areas where we need to cut back. You talked about travel. That's a tough one for me. But as a team, I think we're really excited to make some changes.
That's so cool. You guys are doing great work, and that's why we, it was just like instinct. We got to talk to Monday about this.
Oh, I love it. Well, this was fun. I enjoyed
Yeah.
my first Instagram live and yeah, learning about what you guys have been up to.
Yeah, thank you so much for doing this with us.
Our pleasure.
Yeah, there's no one else I would have rather spoken to about this than you.
Amazing. Okay, well, thanks everyone for joining. Elaine, I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, bye. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.